Well, we will go ahead and get started. I have no doubt. I know that we talked to Sal this morning, so he's probably just running a few minutes late. We have a few things just to go over from our end in the agenda. As always, invite questions, comments, or insights, thoughts on the work that we're doing. So you can see we continue in our work with our community-led vaccination clinics. So just so you're aware, like this work continues. I know I've been keeping up to date, and I invite any of our public health friends to pipe up. I know we're looking at a lot of the B4, B5 variant, just based on personal experience. My mom had COVID, I think maybe a month and a half ago. She has COVID again. So if there's any insights there, my understanding is it's pretty infectious, and kind of waiting to see where things go with the latest variants. So our vaccination work continues. We are going to be at St. Paul's tomorrow. And then also a couple of weeks ago, when vaccinations were approved by the state for 6 months and older, we found out that we were like the first ones in the region to offer vaccinations to 6 months and older. So we were at the Nina Library for the first dose clinic then. Great family event, had tons of family members out and children, and couldn't be more grateful for all those who participated in that event with community resources and all of our volunteers and organizers. It was just amazing, and a steady flow of people. So St. Paul's tomorrow down in Oshkosh, and then we have the second dose, and I don't even like to call that anymore, second dose. We have another clinic at the Nina Public Library on July 19th. And then we have another event that is actually a New Monk Professionals event. They're having a volleyball tournament, and that is July 28th. So in addition to community resources and the volleyball event, we'll also be there with our vaccination partner through the state, AMI. So we're looking forward to that. And then we also have an event that we're working with People of Progression on, their back to school block party. So that will be Sunday, August 28th. So we'll keep you in the loop on all communications moving forward in that regard. And Gina, I'm hoping that you got a hold of Sal. Good.
Thank you for joining us, Sal. We're glad to have you.
Perfect. So I will just run through a couple other items on here. If you have not, Multicultural Coalition it has a Facebook page, and we also have a website. Like, we're becoming official. And then if I cannot remember who I have told that we are now officially a 501c3 as well. That was completed with the support and help of United Way and some colleagues over there. So we submitted and were approved within 15 days, which, if you know anything about filing 501c3s, that I've never seen or heard that occur. So we're extremely grateful for United Way and others supporting us in that effort. That was overwhelming to me personally. So excited for that. And then just wanted to also let you know, we are going to have a special presentation meeting on July 21st. There's been a lot of people in the community talking about the housing strategy and that report. So hold on one second. I got to decline my son's call here. So we are going to have Sadie from Outagamie County present to this committee regarding the strategy and the housing report. So we are excited for that, but that's going to be kind of like a special meeting, and hopefully, yeah,
I think so.
And hopefully you have that meeting notice on your calendars. That will be for July 21st at 11 a.m. and it's virtual as well. So anybody have any questions before we start introductions for our speaker today? And feel free to pipe up in the chat as well. Okay, we are gonna go ahead. If you just make sure that you are on mute, if you can. It sounds like I'm picking up somebody's feed right now. We are gonna go ahead and have Sal present, and I was introduced to Sal actually by a local CEO of PRN who sat on this organization's board and then introduced me to Sal quite some time ago. Sal and I had an opportunity to, I was gonna say sit down, but sit down virtually and connect and understand more about him and his line of work. And I was super inspired by that conversation. So Sal is the CEO of Employment Connection. So they assist individuals with limited opportunities to self-sufficiency. So with that brief mini intro, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Schneider, who will go into greater details. It's awesome seeing you again, Sal. I feel like it's been years since we first saw each other, and it hasn't been that long. So Sarah, you want to go ahead and introduce Sal as well?
Sure, I've got a brief bio here, and so we are excited to have you. Just to expand on what Lisa shared. More formally, Sal started his career where he went to college, which is Harris Stowe State College, as neighborhood services coordinator. He later worked as an executive director of Grand Rock Community Economic Development Corporation. And during that term with the agency, Martinez led the efforts to develop new mixed income housing and innovative economic development programming, which is what we're excited about hearing today. Later, Sal would be appointed by the then mayor of St. Louis to serve on the board of commissioners of the St. Louis Housing Authority and was the youngest chairman ever. In this position, Sal worked lead to HUD grant in the amount of $35 million to rebuild the then deteriorated area of Blue Mire, which is now a vibrant mixed income community. Between 2002 and 2017, Sal would work by the appointment of another mayor and become the inaugural executive director of other firms and earn many service awards. He's led efforts to improve the troubled status in different agencies, develop new housing and economic programming, revitalize neighborhoods, and help foster numerous human development programs for low and moderate income families in the St. Louis region. He received numerous community awards, serves on several boards of civic organizations, and today Sal is, as Lisa mentioned, the CEO of Employment Connection, where he gets to talk to us today, and we're privileged to have him talk to us today. Welcome, Sal. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for the invitation to participate today. So I will go through a PowerPoint slide, and certainly if anyone has any questions, I'll try not to put you to sleep with this presentation, but if you have any questions, feel free to stop me or drop something in the chat, whatever you feel comfortable with, and why don't we get started?
And I'm sorry to interrupt, Sal. I meant to say this as I began. We know that not everybody was able to make it today. So just so everybody's aware, you may have been informed as you joined the meeting. We are recording today so that we can share at a later date and put on our website. So that's all I just wanted to interrupt with. Thank you.
No problem at all. So at Employment Connection, our three foundational principles are to empower, employ, inspire. We serve the city of St. Louis County, and St. Clair County, which is in the state of Illinois. And so we have a pretty large demographic to serve. We've been around just over 40 years. Again, empower, employ, inspire. The two individuals to the left and the right are current employees of Employment Connection, and the young lady in the middle first came to us years ago as a client. She was unhoused, living in her car in a very dangerous situation, and she found out about our organization. She reached out to us. We provided her with job training and placement services. We placed her at a local hospital, and she did a wonderful job there, moved on to achieve other career goals. And now she's on our board of directors as a client representative. So I always tell people, you never know where you end up in life. She came in the door as a client, and now today she's one of my 16 bosses as a member of our board of directors. So that's a wonderful, wonderful story. We're very, very proud of her. Her name is Lisa Shelley. If any of you are interested in her story, you can Google her name on YouTube, and it will show you a video that the United Way of Greater St. Louis put together for us a few years ago. So congrats to you, Lisa, for your organization gaining their 501c3 status as well. That's wonderful. Again, our mission is to assist individuals with limited opportunities of self-sufficiency. Most of our clients, as you might suspect, are receiving some type of public assistance. Perhaps they're living in public housing or utilizing a Section 8 housing choice voucher. Perhaps they're receiving SNAP assistance, TANF assistance. And we certainly do not judge our clients because they might be receiving assistance. But the reality is that as leadership changes, certain programs may change, it may go away, they may be modified, et cetera. So we're always preaching to our clients, you want to be in a position where you can bet on yourself if you can. We don't want you in a situation where if the rug gets pulled out from under you, as far as receiving these government assistance programs, that you're on the outside looking in. And so again, self-sufficiency is our end game. Our history, as I said, we were founded over 40 years ago by members of the Young Lawyers Association. They were curious as to what would happen if individuals, once they were released back into the community from incarceration, were given the training and opportunities that they needed to live different lives. And probably comes as no surprise that of the control group that they studied, 2/3 of them did not reoffend during the period. For the first 30 plus years of our existence, our target population was the justice involved community. We call clients who have made a mistake or two justice involved. Other people call them ex-offenders. But we find that referring to our clients who have made a mistake or two as justice involved is a little bit easier on the ears. And so we serve individuals that have been convicted of anything from serious felonies to being arrested for unpaid parking tickets. So it's everything in all phases. And they still represent about 50% of our client base. But over the past decade, we have expanded our client base to basically include anyone who reaches out to us who needs assistance. And so the different categories under justice involved, several of our clients fit into one or more of these categories. And this is by no means an all-inclusive list. But if someone reaches out to us, if they have the faith to do so, we want to serve them. So we have never turned anyone away for services. And as long as I'm here as CEO, we won't do that moving forward. Trends in clients served, again, probably not anything that would surprise you. And of course, this is based on St. Louis, Missouri. African Americans are incarcerated 4 times more often than Caucasians in the state of Missouri. At this point, we know that it costs the taxpayers almost $30,000 to incarcerate an individual in the state of Missouri. Poverty rate in the city of St. Louis is around 48%. Of course, this is before COVID. So it'd be interesting to see what those numbers are now. 20% of Black males in the United States are considered unemployed. It may be higher now, again, because of COVID. So these are some of the trends and things that we are fighting against, and certainly have a lot more things that we can show. But we show these trends to our staff at their new staff orientation, so that they understand the seriousness of our work if by chance they're not familiar with it. I see a couple things in the chat. Should I check that? Oh, you're very kind.
No. I'll keep you informed with any questions, just so you're aware.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Again, we're here to buck the trend. We're here to create opportunities for people in our community that maybe have been left behind, that have been disrespected, that have been left out. of opportunities. And so a lot of the programs that I'll talk about shortly helps to bridge that gap and to bring those opportunities to those individuals who have a place in society, that have an opportunity to contribute to society in a successful way. And so again, this is one of our foundational principles. Let me see here. So some of our services include, and again, with self-sufficiency being the end game, over time, we have determined that it makes sense to impart as many services to our clients as we can. The last thing we want to do when a client comes in the door in crisis mode, which is what 99.9% of our clients enter our doors in the throes of, is tell them that they have to go to 7 or 8 other entities to receive the services that they need. So with self-sufficiency, again, being the end goal in mind, we have fashioned all of these other service points to assist them while they are here. So we try to be as much of a one-stop shop as we can. That said, we certainly partner with a number of other nonprofit community organizations in the community. No one organization can do everything. But again, since from a bear standpoint, transportation is a challenge for many of our clients. So that's another reason why we want to give them what they need while we're here. But we're certainly not against, and we're very much for partnering with other organizations. So these are a list of some of our programs. Most people in the St. Louis community know us for our ability to provide job training and placement services, and we do that in part through a program called World of Work, or WOW. We also have a solar panel installation training program that's a paid program. We have a Back to Health, Back to Work program, which combines in-house mental and behavioral health counseling services while we work to place individuals into the workforce. We have a reentry program. We work with probation and parole and other organizations that house individuals. And so we provide training before they are released back into the community. And so we're providing that training and job placement while they're still housed in a federal, state, or local institution. We also have programs where we serve individuals who are receiving TANF or SNAP, again, or some type of housing assistance, again, trying to get them to a place where they're self-sufficient and unreliant on those programs. One of our newer programs is Skill Up. This is a program where we are working with individuals between the ages of 16 to 24 years old that are out of school for whatever reason, maybe a health issue, a family issue, maybe a legal issue, etc. And so in this program, we work to, one, try to get them back in school. If that's not an option, we work to get them trained in one of our existing programs or some type of certification in some field that they're interested in, and we provide them with a number of wraparound services. This is one of our violence prevention programs. A lot of the individuals in this program have entered the legal system in some way. And that's part of the reason why a lot of them are out of school. And so we want to do what we can to help change their mental trajectory to where they can go with their lives. We also have a new program with BJC Hospital in the city of St. Louis. They're the largest employer in the St. Louis region, the Patient Access Representatives program. So we provide WOW, and then BJC comes in and provides the technical training that individuals need for what I would call front of the house positions. So these are the individuals, when you get admitted to the hospital, that take care of your registration and other work. And so this is built upon or built to a program called Managed Work Services. If I jump over to the other side, the gentleman that Pete mentioned that was formerly on our board, that Lisa is also connected with, help us to create the Managed Work Services program. So Employment Connection is a nonprofit 501c3, but we own a for-profit company called Managed Work Services. The way that that program works, we have clients. Our number one client are the various hospitals in St. Louis, and we provide the recruitment, the training, and then we place those individuals at the various hospital sites, but they are on our payroll. And so those individuals are able to receive the wraparound services that I'm talking about here now, while they stay on our payroll. And if they are successful within 60 and 90 days, they get hired off of our payroll onto that company's payroll. Some people ask me, well, Sal, why would a company hire you as a temp service to help them with their staffing needs? And the reality is that more and more employers have come to us and said, we're having so much trouble when we do the recruitment, we do the training, we do the marketing, we spend all that money, they show up on day one and we never see them again. And sometimes we find out it's that they don't show up again because they have all of these internal issues that we don't have the capacity to help them with. You do. So, but we need staff. So we would rather hire you to do the upfront work and have them on your payroll, and we pay you, we reimburse you, and plus pay an admin fee. And then after 60 to 90 days, if they've hung in there with us, then we feel much more confident that they can be a long-term employee for us. And so that has been a very successful addition to Employment Connection. We've been operating Managed Work Services for about 10 years. And the positions under Managed Work Services, again, that are mostly at the hospital, will include housekeeping, lab transport, food services, et cetera, and which are all, very, very wonderful opportunities. But that's why we're also very excited that now we have this patient access representative program, because now we have another, what I would call front of the house career opportunity for individuals who might be interested in that, as opposed to the positions that I just mentioned. Jumping back over again to the left side, we also are providing an increasing number of housing services for our clients, which includes eviction prevention. We provide rental assistance, mortgage assistance, and utility assistance to our clients who need it to keep them in their homes, while we provide them with job training and placement services. Hard to do that if an individual obviously doesn't have a place to live. We also provide a significant amount of rapid rehousing services for our clients who are unhoused when they reach out to us. And so I think I signed probably 10 to 15 leases a week with landlords in the community on behalf of our clients as we're getting them off of the street into homes.
Sam, I'll just briefly stop for a quick question if that's
Sure.
okay.
Absolutely.
And this comes from Kristen Gondek of People of Progression. Do you also provide housing advocacy when clients face discrimination or other issues in that area? If so, wondering if you partner with with state fair housing programs or what that looks like for you.
We do. We are very involved with organizations that where that is part of their mission. I am also a commissioner of the Civil Rights Enforcement Agency here in the city of St. Louis. We investigate housing complaints in addition to other complaints that individuals have. I'm also still remaining, I still remain as chairman of the St. Louis Housing Authority. And so we are also very involved in trying to make sure that there's equal housing opportunities for people in the community. We have some other organizations that we work with, Conflict Resolution Center, that oftentimes will mediate situations between landlords or housing providers, property managers, and tenants. And so that's a growing list. And so, yes, we are very involved and very, very serious about trying to make sure that our clients have the best housing available to them.
Thank you. I'm just going to recap in that chat what you just said so that that can be saved as a record of your answer. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. One of our newest programs is called Cure Violence. Cure Violence is a program that was founded in the city of Chicago. It is a program that is designed to reduce gun violence and homicides associated with gun violence. Cure Violence is now offered all over the world, Latin America, Europe, Africa, Asia, etc. And there are dozens and dozens of Cure Violence sites in the city of the United States as well. A couple years ago, the city of St. Louis made a commitment to pilot 3 Cure Violence sites in the city of St. Louis, and we were selected to operate 2 of the 3 Cure Violence sites. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're very, very excited about that program. It's a very dangerous program. And so we have hired individuals that are very brave, that want to make a difference in the community, but so far, so good with that program. So our client flow chart, how do we recruit individuals and get them to that position of self-sufficiency? So again, I mentioned we have great relationships with probation and parole. We're a member of several cohorts of nonprofit organizations in the community. We're a United Way agency, so they refer a number of clients to us on an annual basis. The clients come in the door, and our front office staff does an assessment enrollment for them. Individuals can also register for our services online. And in the very near future, we will also be installing some kiosks and some queuing systems in our lobby, not only to provide additional training for clients, but again, unfortunately, as we still deal with the pandemic, we want to try to make things as safe as possible. Most of our clients then go through our work readiness training program, which is called World of Work. That is a 2-day in-person program. We have also offered it virtually. That's not as successful as the in-person, and you might realize, of course, that a lot of our clients don't have cell phones or they don't have laptops. And so we never closed our doors during the pandemic, and hopefully we never will. We've certainly instituted a lot of safety protocols now to try to make this a safe place for both our clients and our staff. But we basically do the World of Work training every week of the year. Once a client graduates from the work readiness training, and the WOW class would include how to interview, how to develop a resume, how to work with your coworkers, how to respond to your supervisor. We talk about social media usage, what's allowable, what's not, etc. We do mock interviews. We bring in HR professionals from around the St. Louis community from various companies, and we do mock interviews. We tape those interviews. We show the interviews, and so they can all critique themselves and each other. That's always a funny thing. Normally, the students tease each other with how they performed in the mock interviews, but that's a team building exercise. So we're not, nobody's laughing at each other seriously. They're just kind of chuckling and giving each other advice on how they can all do better. And then we do the videotaped interviews again. So once they finish with the World of Work, we then assign them to a career specialist. The career specialist reminds me, for many years, I served on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters here in St. Louis, and my wife and I are in a couples match where we have a little brother. The career specialist reminds me of a big brother or sister. So this individual becomes the client's advocate, their champion, their conduit to the other services that they need, while also preparing to help them enter the workforce. And so the career specialist helps them, or serves as a conduit if they need housing assistance, serves as a conduit if they need counseling, if they need PPE supplies, if they need clothing, if they need food, etc. And so then, depending on what the client wants to do after they graduate from WOW, we can either work to put them to work, or we can enroll them in one of our paid training programs. But it's really up to them. We give, soft advice, but we know that clients will be most successful if they pick out what type of vocation they would be interested in. It's not for us to do it, but we'll provide you with advice. But we want you to, once we show you a list or we investigate what you say that you're interested in and show you those options, we want to help bring that to you. And so again, the end game is job placement and career development. So again, I talked about the career specialists. We have career specialists that serve clients in the city of St. Louis County, and St. Clair County. We're big on retention as well. So once we place you in a job, we don't cut the umbilical cord, so to speak. So we're checking in with you at least weekly. If something happens and a client is terminated or laid off, we tell them, come on back, let's see what we can learn. There are plenty of opportunities, especially now. This is obviously an employee market beyond belief. And so we tell them, don't take that for granted, however. You need to utilize the skills that we've given you, but there are tons of opportunities for you. This is getting kind of old, but I guess a little over 6 years ago, the University of Missouri Columbia did a study of 39 agencies that worked with justice involved individuals, and we had the lowest reoffense rate in the state. And I really have to give the credit to that, for that, to the career specialists, the housing specialists, our mental behavioral counselors. We're a client-first organization. Every week I walk into the World of Work class and I tell them, thank you so much for being here, because if you weren't here, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a job. And just because I'm the CEO, it doesn't matter. I work here just like the career specialists and housing specialists. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And so just like in the for-profit world, where they say the customer is always right, we try to employ that same philosophy here at Employment Connection. Again, I talked about our in-house mental and behavioral health services programming. This has been a growing side of our work here at Employment Connection. Certainly COVID-19 has added to the anxiety and stress that individuals are feeling. Also, our work with Cure Violence has also contributed to the growth of this program. The individuals that we serve at Cure Violence, most of them have either been shot other individuals, or had both happen to them, or they've been incarcerated or had members of their family that have been shot or killed, etc. And so we're very proud to have the in-house capacity to provide these services in a confidential way. We can also provide the counseling virtually if the clients would like. We also, as a supplemental piece of this program, have a partnership with St. Louis University School of Psychological Services, where they bring in doctoral students under the supervision of a faculty member to supplement the counseling services. And we have found that, for example, sometimes if we have a younger client, 18, 19, 20 years old, they sometimes will feel more comfortable talking to maybe a younger doctoral student that is in the same age range, or maybe of the same gender or race, etc. So we really find that having these students here has really bolstered this work. Plus, it's always good to have young minds and different eyes and different minds looking at some of the issues that our clients are faced with. Again, housing services, we provide both eviction prevention and rapid rehousing. So just like we have a team of career specialists, we have a team of housing specialists who do this work. Last year, we served over 500 families with these two services. This year, we are trending to serve probably over 700 families. We just got a call yesterday from St. Louis County that they're increasing our eviction prevention funding. So we're very appreciative of that, but it's also very sobering that we and other organizations are having to continue to hire additional housing specialists to do this work. So we hope at some point that the need obviously would not be this great.
Sal, could I ask a
Sure.
question that came up in the chat? And this is actually from Lisa Cruz. with the assumption that there's a housing shortage in your area. How are you navigating that challenge?
So that is a big challenge. We have developed a landlord database that is growing every year, where we have landlords that are willing to do business with us on behalf of our clients. We also received some funding. It was pre-ARPA. I'm forgetting what that first round of COVID relief funds were called, but we were engaged by the city to work with another entity to create a new affordable housing database that is now in place for both tenants and landlords to utilize to place for the would-be tenants to indicate they're interested and they can see what's available, and then for landlords and property managers to list their properties that are available. We also, at this point, I come from the world of housing development. I apologize, Gina, you asked me this morning when we talked to talk a little bit about my history. So you did mention my work with the St. Louis Housing Authority. I've been chairman for, I guess, 20 of the last 25 years. And so we also work very closely with the Housing Authority to see if there are units available within our inventory. The St. Louis Housing Authority has over 5,000 affordable housing units in the city of St. Louis, in addition to the Section 8 housing choice voucher program that we operate. But I am also in the midst of negotiations with some for-profit developers where we would become a developer of affordable housing. And that was how I started off my career as I headed several community development corporations that developed affordable housing. I want Employment Connection to be in a position where we are a provider ourselves of housing for at least some of our clients, so that we're not totally reliant on landlords to house our clients. Just like we want our clients to be self-sufficient, we need to be as self-sufficient as we can. And so if all goes well, and we're working on two different developments now, one would be a transportation-oriented development. The other one would be a development for seniors 55 and older. We would be applying to the Missouri Housing Trust Fund for an allocation of low-income housing tax credits, one to build new and one to renovate an existing property. And I see this as an ongoing activity for Employment Connection moving forward, where we are a developer, a co-developer and owner of affordable housing units that we can utilize for our clients. Long answer to a short question. That's kind of my specialty in life, unfortunately, for all of you today.
Thank you.
So again, my pleasure. Again, this is some a slide about cure violence. The program has been very successful, very, very challenging program. We hire individuals that have street credibility in the community to do this work. The typical schedule is they work Tuesday through Saturday from 3 p.m. to midnight. People ask me, Sal, why in the heck do they work that schedule? Because that's when shootings happen. We have the data from the past several years in the communities where we're doing this work to know that that's when shootings happen. And so our secure violence staff is responsible to provide de-escalation work. Where they see a conflict, they're required to go in the middle of that conflict and try to de-escalate it before guns are drawn and possibly lives are lost. They also try to settle what we call street beefs in the community. We have some families in some of our cure violence areas that have been at war for over 20 years. And so our team has gone in there and worked to create peace amongst those families, to tell them, hey, you've lost 10, 15, 20 people between your two families. This needs to end. Don't you agree? Aren't you tired of going to funerals? Aren't you tired of, if seniors are in the household, aren't you tired of not being able to sit on your front porch? Aren't you tired of visiting your children, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins in the hospital when they've been shot? And so these individuals that we hire are from the community. These individuals that we hire are often justice involved. And just like we work with justice involved individuals and we hire justice involved individuals, that's almost a bonus for this program because they have to be able to have credibility in the community when they approach these dangerous individuals that carry guns. One story that I'll tell briefly about Cure Violence, I went out with one of our Cure Violence teams last Christmas, and we were passing out turkeys and toys and other perishable food items for the community. And I was approached by 5 different individuals on 5 different streets carrying either AR-15s, AK-47s, or 9mm Glocks. One of them had a pretty nice scope on it, where there was a red light that was traveling up my leg as this individual didn't know who I was. Thank God for me, I had a team of violence interrupters and outreach workers with me. And I'm born and raised in South Central LA, so I did not grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I've seen guns my entire life. But as a CEO that's somewhat removed from that lifestyle at this point, I was really shocked that none of these individuals had to pull the guns from their waist or from somewhere else. They walked up to me with the guns in their hands, ready to shoot, ready to do what was necessary to protect their turf, protect themselves. They didn't know if I was a rival drug dealer. They didn't know if I was perhaps a member of law enforcement. They know who I was, but they knew I wasn't from around there. But thank God, again, our staff who lives in the community, who has relationships with these individuals, were able to step in and say, "Hey, wait a minute, he's with us. He's our boss." And several of them said, "Well, what's he doing out here at 10 o'clock at night with you all walking up and down the street?" And I said, "Well, that's just kind of dummy that I am. Good to meet you." A couple of them said, "Well, hey, can you help me? I'm tired of this life. I want to do something different." And I said, "Well, show up at the office tomorrow and we can help you make that change." So that's part of the work that we do with Cure Violence.
Sal, that's amazing and wonderful to hear that you include justice involved folks in that work. There's 2 questions to go along with that work. One from Lisa: do those folks work in tandem with the police or other services? And then the other is from Sarah Schneider: how do you address mental illness or addiction that could be driving or enhancing criminal behavior on the streets?
Sure. First question, Cure Violence does not work with law enforcement at all. That is rule number 1 for Cure Violence. And I should also mention that Cure Violence Global, which is based in Chicago, also has a contract with the city of St. Louis to basically provide 24-hour training, technical assistance, and evaluation of the 3 Cure Violence teams that are operating in the city of St. Louis. And so they are constantly training them, providing, best practices, latest trends, etc. The reason why we don't work with law enforcement, we respect law enforcement. The reason why we don't work with law enforcement is because our credibility is on the line. These participants that we're working with cannot see us as confidants to the police department. We're not here necessarily, for example, to stop them from selling drugs. We're here to stop them from shooting and killing individuals. Now, as part of developing a relationship with them, we tell them, well, if you're tired of this lifestyle, we can get you into another vocation where you don't have to be out here at night at 4 o'clock in the morning walking around with an AK-47. We can get you a different position where you can do something different if you want to do that. So that's the first, that would be the answer to the first question. And with that, I forgot the second question, Ashley. Can you repeat that?
Absolutely. Thank you for addressing that. The second question is: how do you address mental illness or addiction issues that could be driving or enhancing criminal behavior?
Yeah, so for the first thing, again, we can refer them to our in-house minimum behavioral health counseling services. And that's one of the reasons why that program has grown so significantly for us. We also, have mental health, behavioral health partners that we work with as well that can provide mental and behavioral health counseling services. The other thing is that all of our employees, full-time employees at Employment Connection, we provide 100% employer-paid health, dental, life, and disability coverage. And mental behavioral health counseling is obviously part of the health services that they can receive. So we explain to our staff how they can sign up for those services if they would like to do it that way. And so we do understand. And then for the clients, so that we not only have mental behavioral health services for our clients, we obviously have them for our staff as well. The Cure Violence staff, more than any of our staff, see things that no one else should see. They've seen dead bodies, they've seen mutilated bodies, they've seen individuals that have been shot. We've had individuals that have been shot and killed in front of our Cure Violence offices. And so they've had to see that, and they've called me and said, Sal, I need to see somebody because I just can't get over what has happened here. They also are trained to administer Narcan to individuals that have overdosed. In one of our Cure Violence neighborhoods is shocking. When you go there, you see individuals that are in effect frozen because they are under the influence of fentanyl or some other type of drug, and they are literally standing in place when we pass by them, or when you drive past or walk by them. And then some of those individuals then will fall onto the ground and will have some type of reaction as they have overdosed. And so, unfortunately, even though that's not part of their work as Cure Violence staff, they have helped to save individuals by administering Narcan in these communities. So drug and alcohol dependency, in addition to mental and behavioral health challenges, are a major part of the work that they do as well.
And then I'm sorry, just to have you repeat, Sal, thank you for that. You said that your employees, full-time staff members have access to those services. And then you said for your clients, they're offered expenses paid to seek those services as well?
Yeah, so they can sign up to receive in-house services from our mental and behavioral health counselors. And then we also can refer them to other nonprofit organizations that offer those services for free. So it's totally up to them. They can work with EC, or if they feel more comfortable working with another organization, we can facilitate that as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'll add those responses in the chat.
Thank you. And so these are numbers as far as year end 2021. We're working with 78 participants in the program. Cure Violence Global has identified what an individual has to do to be considered a participant. Again, they've been shot, have shot other people, they've been incarcerated, they are known to hang with dangerous gangs or street cliques, etc. As of the end of 2021, our two teams had documented 553 de-escalation sessions, and you can see the 25% decrease in homicides within the 3 catchment areas where the program has been operating. And so the program is working. We certainly do not rest on our laurels. However, it's been a hot summer already in the city of St. Louis, and crime typically goes up in urban areas in the summer. More people out of school, out in the community, aggravated by the heat, etc. Certainly the program has been impacted by COVID because more people are experiencing anxiety and frustration and stress associated with COVID. But we're very excited to operate this program along with our other services at Employment Connection. Again, how do we define success? Self-sufficiency, free of reliance on government support, able to take care of yourself and your family, and able to see a future filled with success and opportunity and career growth. So I'll stop there, and if anyone has any other questions, happy to answer them.
Sal, I'll ask a question, and this may go back to some of your beginning slides. How do you address the needs of individuals of different ethnic backgrounds who may benefit from being counseled or assisted by somebody that looks like them or speaks their language?
So we will work to find what it is that they say that they want. So as it relates to counseling, they can see all of our counselors. So if they're looking for someone of a certain gender or race or a certain type of background, we try to match that up. And then we also have partners. We have a couple of mental behavioral health partners that that employ mostly minorities. We have another organization that employs mostly women. So we think we have enough diversity to create an opportunity for an individual to be as comfortable as we can help them be as they access those services, if I'm understanding your question correctly.
Thank you.
That said, we also, as part of WOW, however, our World of Work class, we also try to educate our clients about the reality of diversity and the fact that that is the way that the world operates. And even though, I always tell the clients, I'm half Black, half Hispanic as far as my ethnicity goes. And yes, I might be more comfortable with my family, my Black family, my Hispanic family, but there's a whole big world out here that I live in, that we live in. And sometimes you got to push the envelope just a little bit so that you can learn about someone else's culture and their customs and what have you. But that said, especially as it relates to counseling, if you might feel more comfortable with somebody who looks like you or talks like you, or maybe has similar lived experiences, we understand that. But it's just a situation where we do try to educate our clients on the realities of the world that we live in.
Sal, I'll go ahead. Sarah had another question about, it said that people need to hit rock bottom before they are willing to change. Do you find this to be true, or is hope for a better future a bigger driver?
I would say both. Most of our clients, when they come to the door, they're in crisis mode. And so really both realities are hitting them at the same time. I would say one of the interesting challenges for me and for us as an entity, but I guess me and my whole life, I've been blessed to serve as a executive director or a CEO of a nonprofit for most of my adult life, is that so many individuals don't believe that certain opportunities are available to them. We have with the solar program and with our construction training program, for example, which are paid training programs. It has been amazing for me to have to explain to individuals that once they finish this training, there will be employment opportunities available to them. So many of them say, we've never seen anybody that looks like us working in construction in our community. And I say, well, I believe that that's true, but I wouldn't put my reputation on the line and this organization's reputation on the line if we didn't know that there were real opportunities for you. That said, you got to do what's required to be put in a position where you're marketable. You've got to go through WOW. You've got to go through this hands-on training program. You got to show up on time. You got to put in 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever it is. Good, what is it? You got a good day's work for a good day's pay or something like that. But so it's just been amazing where at times you think that the recruitment would be so easy for something, and the clients say, are you sure? Are you sure this can happen? Are you sure? We've been told this for many, many years, and I've made a mistake or two, or I'm a woman, or whatever the case is, or I live in a low moderate income part of town. They don't want me. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And here's why. So we show them that as well. As it relates to construction, the unions are in deep trouble. The labor unions are in deep trouble in St. Louis. Young people, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, are not interested in labor positions. Those positions start off anywhere from $20 to $50 an hour to start. I've got contractors calling me every day. We have a contract with the city to raise minority and women-owned participation on projects that are funded by HUD. The contractors are desperate. The developers are desperate. So there's an opportunity for them, and those individuals that we've applied in those programs, sometimes the contractors hired them before the training was finished. They were so desperate. We'll teach them, but if they can show up every day and we can count on them, we'll teach them to work, Sal. That's not a problem. So long answer to a short question. I apologize.
And I think what you just explained and described in St. Louis is a very similar to what's taking place in our area. Any other questions or comments for Sal? I know, Sal, you, I don't know if you have a moment to read the chat. People are that just emphasizing your program and the organization that you have in place being phenomenal. And I would second that. I learned so much the second time around, just connecting with you here in this meeting today. I feel inspired to actually take a trip down to St. Louis, if you don't mind, if I invite myself.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
I'd love to see your
We'd love
facility
that.
myself.
We love that. Yeah, we can tour some things. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Arch, or we've got a new soccer stadium that's under construction down the street. So we're excited about that. I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I will be.
You can learn to be. No, this is great information for us, and just inspiring for us to hear how you pulled it all together. I think, you know, when I think about our area, we have so many of the similar great resources, and just pulling it together like this and providing this just very connected resources. Because as you know, like, and as you were talking about, this isn't just like you slot a person in this resource and that's all they need. It's so complex and multi-layered. Every person comes, you know, with different needs. So, and this has just been phenomenal. Any questions you have for us on this group? I know we're representing private healthcare, public health today, some other grassroots nonprofits.
You know, it's wonderful to see that a group like this has come together. You know, I'm big on partnerships, so I would, you know, I would suggest and ask, and I'm sure you all, you know, already do this. Look for ways to partner where you can use your talents, your abilities, your skills, your relationships to serve the community. And you know, I think it's a win-win. For us, you know, it's a win for us as an agency. It's a win for our clients. It's a win for our employment partners, etc. And there's so many wonderful stories that can be told. I was in a meeting with one of our funders this morning that is a bank, and we were talking about storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that banks have Community Reinvestment Act responsibilities and what have you. And so, you know, they could have just wrote a check and been done with it, but they have gotten more involved with us than just writing a check. They say, hey, we want to come out there. We want to help your clients. We want to help them with the mock interviews. We want to help with your closing closet. And we're going to introduce you to some of our banking customers who are employers who need help. And so that, I mean, how wonderful would that be for a, you know, senior vice president in a bank to call employer A and say, hey, we've got a nonprofit partner that we're working with. We know you need employees. Let's make that introduction. And so, you know, that's just a wonderful partnership, all based on relationships.
Pueden hablar, lo tengo en mute.
Thank you, Sal. That is awesome. We appreciate your insights for our community.
No, tampoco así.
I don't know. There she goes. And we'll definitely keep in touch. If there's anything new from your end that you ever want to share with this group, we always have an open door, and appreciate you taking the time today, and in the future, we'd love to have you back, and we might have you back to explore some of those programs too in more depth and detail and how the process works. So thank you so much.
My
This is
pleasure.
officially concluding the meeting. So if you need to leave, feel free. I'll hang out for a few minutes. Sal, if you have a few more minutes, if anybody else has questions.
I do.
I always like to provide this opportunity just kind of more in person, like, you know, how before the meeting and after the meeting are when more discussions take place. So thank you all for joining us today.
Sal, I have
Dr.
a-
Pam, you have any questions? And if I cut somebody off, I
No.
apologize.
No, I just want to say thank you so much, Sal. You've really inspired us in what you share in terms of your intentionality and what you strive to do in impacting those individuals who historically have not had a voice or have had opportunities. And that's really powerful. And in the way that you're doing it as a wraparound, that's something that we've been talking a lot about through MCI, is that we are not an overnight organization where come here, we'll try to figure it out, and then we're gone tomorrow. We're here for the long haul, and we're here to help people truly build sustainability for their lives and their families. And so hearing some of the things you're sharing and some of the work that you're doing is very inspiring. And we'd love to get together with you at a different time, just to sit down with the MCI board to talk a little bit about the work that you've been doing. And we have similar pillars of work that we are also doing. And we'd love to learn from you. We'd love to brainstorm with you and get your thoughts and ideas in those areas as well too. I love the fact that you have a workflow, you have all these things. I was just saying to Lisa, oh my goodness, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I'm thrilled about that. And I truly appreciate your willingness to share your insights and the work that you're doing so that we can also start tackling some very difficult things that we have within our communities within the Northeast Wisconsin here where we live as well too. So thank you so much.
I'll
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words, and we can learn from each other. So I'd be happy to come back and participate in any dialogue, and always find that we both parties will learn some things when they do that.
I'd like to echo what Dr. Pam said, and I have a couple questions that were sent individually. One of which was, if somebody's organizing a field trip, let me know, I'm in. But anyways, so two questions I have, and one is more likely for those that are already here on the call in Northeast Wisconsin. If we know of any programs in Appleton that have contracts like this with TANF, TANF, and I'll admit I'm not familiar with that acronym. And then I'll read the second question. We can go back to the other. Any thoughts from you, Sal, about what services or resources, characteristics, and so on of a community that can help prevent these types of issues of violence in the first place? So I'll pose that question to Sal, and then we'll come back to the other Appleton specific.
Sure. So I guess as far as violence prevention, I don't know if there's a Cure Violence site in the state of Wisconsin or not. If not, I would suggest, if there is an interest, that maybe, and I can connect you with the CEO of Cure Violence. It's ironic, when we started Cure Violence, he was director of the health department, which managed the program in the city of St. Louis. He then left the health department about 6 months ago, about 6 months ago, and now he's the CEO of Cure Violence Global. So talk about it being a small world.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm obviously unapologetically a fan of the Cure Violence program, and I think that what really makes, and there are a few things that make the program very unique in my estimation, but I think one of the main things is that you would hire and empower individuals who have street credibility, who have made mistakes, who have the ability to de-escalate and mediate situations that, and I was telling somebody the other day, they were just, one of the Cure Violence teams was telling me about a shooting that they prevented a couple of days ago at a basketball court. Some guys were playing, it was hot outside, They were playing for money. And so one team lost, and they were, and so every day they canvass the community, pass out what we call public education materials. And they saw that they were fussing and cursing each other and what have you. And there, as they walked there, they could see several guns on the outside of the basketball court. And, you know, the guys, as they were arguing with each other, one of them said, well, I'll go over there and get my piece. And they said, and they were able to stop that and say, hey guys, wait a minute, you guys are playing basketball here. Is it that serious where one of you is going to get a gun and start shooting somebody? I mean, what are you guys out here playing a game? And so, and they use some interesting language as part of that because they're from the community. And again, what was the other thing that's interesting about our cure violence staff, most of them have no college education. They're from the school of the streets. And so they have, again, I keep saying that word credibility. You may never want to hear that word again after how many times I said it today, but they were able to say some things in certain ways to get these guys to a point where they say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. All right. All right. Well, back in the day which I don't remember us playing for money. We played for bragging rights. We would get in arguments too when we played sports, but we might exchange a few punches and then that was the end of it. And the next day we might be friends again. But nowadays, unfortunately, too often, what starts off as a little tussle ends up in bloodshed because there's so many guns on the street. And then I come from the world where they say, don't pull a gun unless you plan to use it. Once the gun is pulled, then, all bets are off. And since so many other people had guns, who knows what would have happened? 1, 10, 12 people could have been shot and killed. So it's really sad to think about, but that's reality. And they see this type of activity far too often. And sometimes they're not able to de-escalate the situation in time. They work from 3 p.m. to midnight, but sometimes the shootings happen between 1 and 2 o'clock. And sometimes they have to get up out of bed and respond to those calls as well. And so the one relationship that we do have with law enforcement in St. Louis, I get a personal report from the police department that details what goes on citywide in real time. And I'm able to determine whether or not that's in one of our cure violence areas. And then I can dispatch staff at that point. So they are trained by Cure Violence Global that even though you work 9-hour days with a lunch, this could essentially at some point in some days be a 24-hour job. And so they've signed on for that. So, again, just them having those relationships in the community, I think that is a program, even if it isn't cure violence, that should be replicated. Because again, they have the ability to approach people that most people will not, because of who they are.
Now, I
So-
just wanted to share with you that, in the work that I've done a long time ago, seems like another lifetime ago, I did a lot of gang prevention work with law enforcement and with the Department of Justice. And, one of the things that we learned about, the children that get involved and the youth that get involved is it becomes normalized for them. I used to sit down and talk to young men, and they would say things to me like, well, we're used to all the gunfighting. We're used to all the shooting. It's normal for us. So it's not normal for you. You're afraid of it. We're not afraid of it, right? And so when we think about how these children have been indoctrinated and been part of this in their life from the day they were born, and how very sad that we don't take this seriously to go into a situation like that and to give them options. And I think that's what you do, is you give them options to get out, whereas a lot of them don't feel like they have options to get out. And the only way to survive is to shoot your way through and shoot your way out. And, hopefully you don't get, killed in that process. And that's a mindset, right? That's a mindset that they have that we had to really work on. But the one thing they said to us was, well, it's great that you're all talking to us, but what are you going to do for us, right? What are you going to do for us? You can talk all day long, but you're not with us 24/7. You can't protect us. You know, if we decide to do something different, we still got to live in this neighborhood. It's not like we have all these options to do all these other things. So I think a lot of times when we talk about this, we're like, well, why don't they do this? Why don't they think more about this? Why don't they, you know, apply this to this and the common sense piece of it? When you're fighting over a basketball game or a soccer game or something like that, why are you killing each other? It's just it's a game. But to them, it's so much more than that, right? Because that's the way of life for them. So I think it's not just helping to educate the communities that we work with about, you know, violence and the fact that violence is not the answer, but also the greater community and understanding that they perpetuate this by not having those resources available, by not truly doing the work that they need to do and being intentional about it and following through to remove people from these situations or to clean up these situations, to give people hope and options, that this is not something that is normal. And so that's the thing, is that it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street in educating our communities that live in this violent environment all the time, and it's become normalized. It's also, you know, we need to educate our greater community as well too, and those around that are not impacted by this, that they also contribute to whether or not we can address these issues. They also contribute to creating safe spaces for everybody, right? And so that's really powerful, and it's a two-way street, and sometimes it's difficult because you're so entrenched in the work here, but yet you don't have the support you need to be able to give those options, those resources to the people that really need them. And I think that's one of the things that we find ourselves as a coalition here as well too, is that we're getting communities ready, right? We're going in and we're telling them, we're going to help you, we're going to do this and all that, but yet we don't have partners that are ready for them. We don't have people who are ready for them. And so they meet the disappointment after disappointment. And that's another piece too. Not only our greater community, but our other organizations. Are they ready? Are they ready for the work that they know needs to be done, that we need to do and we are doing? But when we send them to those organizations or to the community as a whole, are they ready for them? And can they be a truly intentional and powerful partner with us to really, you know, build and create sustainable changes? So.
I appreciate that. And yes, we hear that from a lot of our clients. What do you have for me to do? And so we tell them we have a lot for you to do, but that's up to you. If you want to get away from this life, we can. I had a guy tell me the other day, man, I make, I don't know what he said, $1,000 a night. I make $2,000 a night, you know, selling drugs. And I said, well, you know, not many jobs necessarily that you can get at an entry level and make that kind of money. But look at what you have to do. You're standing out on this corner with a gun. You got your rivals want to blow your head off. You can't sleep at night. I said, you really can't even enjoy the money you're making. Look at how much stress you're under. So, and he said, and I said, well, what do you have? Do you have any kind of interest? Well, I like construction. I said, well, you know, we got a construction car. Well, I want to work for myself. I said, well, every construction firm that I know of, the president or the owner had to learn the trade first. Now you can, and I understood where he was going with that. So he's businessman, he's businessman or drug dealer A that runs his own business. I said, now, just like what you're doing right now, that company, they're selling a product. You know a little something about selling a product, don't you? You know about marketing and sales, and you know about the quality of the product. I said, so you can utilize a lot of the street skills that you learn to do, but you got to learn this trade. So you know this trade. You obviously know the dope trade. You know that, and that's not an easy trade to be in. Otherwise, a lot more people may be doing it. but if they were willing to take those chances. And you know, I'm laughing because he kind of laughed at me, and we were kind of going back and forth. And so I try to infuse humor where when I can. There's certainly nothing funny about the lifestyle he's living. But I said, if you can come in here and learn a trade, you can get to a place where you own a business and utilize again those same skills that you have picked up doing what you're currently doing. He said, well, you know what? I might take a look at that. I said, well, doors open. I said, I'm not going to drag you there. you got to come in here, and I'm telling you that there's an opportunity for you to change your life. So we'll see what happens. Luckily, a lot of the Cure Violence participants have taken us up on that offer. And sometimes we talk about their children or their siblings. And to your point, not only have we found the typical Cure Violence client is between the ages of 16 and 25. Both teams started telling me early on, Sal, what do we do for the younger kids that we can't admit to the Cure Violence caseload? They're out here selling dope, carrying guns too, and robbing people. And so we now have just identified funding to create what I would call, I guess, a Cure Violence Light program for individuals between the ages of 10 and 17. One of the sad things that we have found in both of our Cure Violence sites, some of the shootings have occurred because of arguments between 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are carrying guns, that have got into it with each other, and they're shooting each other and or adults as part of this as well. And like you said, Dr. Pam, this is part of their life. When we ask a lot of them, what do they want to do or what are their short-term goals? You know, a lot of them say to turn 21. Not that I want a big house or I want a fancy car or I want this, things that you might think that young people would say. I'm sure I said the same thing. I want to play in the NBA or I want to play in the NFL. I want to live to be 21. I want to live to be 18. What? You say that to yourself internally. What? Yeah. But that's the reality of, and so if you've got that mentality, then what do you think about committing a crime or putting yourself in a situation? You don't think anything of that. I don't think I want to live that long. So if you got, you allowed to do anything in that mindset. Plus, in many cases, you're a child. So of course you have not developed mentally enough where you can evaluate different options. That's a whole nother thing. Kids with guns, how scary is that? They don't even have the mentality, even know what to even ponder until sometimes it's too late for them or for, the victim or victims that they have, that they encounter. So it's a huge challenge. So we're excited to operate this new program that we receive state funding to support and local government funding, but we all understand that. The police department has also told me that, Sal, we need help with these kids. There's only so much we can do with a 10 or 11-year-old who has stolen a car and we're chasing them. They can't drive for one. So then people driving, people on the street, they're at risk as well, in addition to the kids that are in the car. And it's just, anyway, we're trying to end on a positive note here, but this is some of the things that we're dealing with.
Thank you for sharing that, Sal. All very sobering. Now, ending on a positive note, though, I'd say is great that you are speaking with us and we're having this opportunity just to learn from you in today's session and now with this post discussion. So thank you for that, because I know time is limited. Dr. Pfaff?
Sal, I just wanted to say how I love that concept. I worked with a nonprofit in the past, and we were able to do the concept that you've also embraced in terms of doing your nonprofit 501c3 work and then figuring out a way to create a private for-profit, right? That continues to build that sustainability of what you do. And I love that temp agency concept of giving someone a holistic approach to addressing all the needs that they have so that they can be successful in the workplace, and having the workplace and employers seeing the value of that, right? Because, we talk a lot about how when someone quits a job or doesn't show up, a lot of times it's not because of that job. It's because of everything else that's happening around them, whether it's their family, transportation, all the other things that are happening that they don't know how to get help for. And so they end up not going to work because they're trying to figure out all these other pieces. And a lot of times employers just want people to come to work because they need people to work. And they just feel like if you don't come to work, you're not responsible, but they don't really understand the bigger picture of all the other pieces. And for you to be able to provide those support pieces and doing it as a holistic approach is phenomenal, and something that we've really talked about and have been very engage in developing. When we, are able to launch this, we want to have something holistic in that realm to really build that sustainable workforce, to really not only teach employers about, the workforce, but also the workforce about employers. And so that's a two-way street as well too. So thank you for sharing that. I was excited to hear that. I was really excited when you said that. I was like, yes, that's another way that you can build sustainability. Yes. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you again, Sal. We'll be in touch. I know. And are you okay if we send your email out to others in this group as well?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you, Sal. We appreciate you, your work, your time, and your energy. So I'm sure we'll talk soon. And thank you for those of you who are left on the call. We appreciate you hanging on with us. And hopefully we will see you in another, I don't know, like 10 days, I guess, maybe 9 days for our next meeting. Have a good afternoon, you guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Sal.